Do men really want women to be submissive? Of course, they want women to be submissive. They want pretty little slaves to do whatever they want them to do so they can do whatever they want to do and live their lives. They don't want strong, independent women. They don't want women who have their own brains and high self-esteem and women who can just think for themselves. They want women that they can control. Have you heard that? Yeah, we've heard it. We've seen it. We've seen the comments where people made the thought of submission something that is a negative thing, something that a person should be ashamed of, something that devalues a woman. So stay tuned and watch this video to the end so I can tell you 3 ways outstanding personal relationships can help you in your marriage and your relationships. Assalamu alaikum, peace. It's Nyla, Coach Nyla, one of the co-founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, where we help people develop strong, healthy, fulfilling marriages and relationships, whether they practice monogamy or polygyny. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the whole thing about being submissive. I've heard so much on the lines of some women who's submissive is anything from a pretty slave, a person with low self-esteem, not a strong woman or a strong independent woman, a lot of these different things. And it's really looked at, or it has been looked at, or at least put out there as something negative. And it's usually put out there by people who have their own agenda, where we don't need men for anything. And if you do anything remotely seeming that is feminine, then you are dating women back to the 1950s and everything like that. So, yeah, it was really interesting because I wasn't raised as a person who was taught to be submissive. And what I mean, like submissive to a man. Of course, I have to be submissive to my parents, to my mom, because that's who actually raised me. However, I was raised by a single mother, and my mother was raised by a single mother. So I wasn't taught how to be a wife. What does that mean? That means I wasn't taught to be someone who really exuded the feminine energy to attract a man that was willing to have her back. See, this is the thing. I had to use the word have your back or have her back instead of take care of her, because when people hear that word or hear that phrase, take care of, they get into, it's like a trigger word. It's a word that it seems like, well, I don't need anybody to take care of me. I can fend for myself. I'm not a damsel in distress. I don't need a Prince Charming to come and save me. Not understanding that they're setting themselves up for loneliness and just not having that companionship that eventually, if you don't desire it now, or you are at least telling yourself you don't desire it now, you will desire it later, because it's only so much that you can do for yourself by yourself, and companionship is not one of them. So I wasn't the one that was raised that way, though. I didn't have a mother to teach me how to be submissive to someone. And the interesting thing is that word is looked at as a negative word. That word is looked at as like something that's weak, not as something to strength. But when you ask a person, or ask a man, or ask women, older women, much mature women, what does submission mean, or what do they think being submissive means, or what they think being feminine means? Submission falls in line in there somewhere. It's kind, understanding, nurturing, submissive. Like that word equates to a part of femininity. So what does submissive mean? What does being submissive mean? Being submissive does not mean that you're just a slave to somebody. I've heard people say that, oh, well, men want women to be submissive because they just want a slave. They want a person that they can control. They have a person that, won't question them when they do this and that, and the man can do whatever he wants to, and the women don't have any say or anything like that. So when people hear submit, submit to your man or submit to your husband or be submissive, they think, oh, this person is trying to degrade me, that I'm beneath them, that I'm below them. And then it's now you're not complimenting each other as a couple, you're competing against one another. The masculine energy comes out. A lot of that comes from women exuding a lot of the masculine energy because they're doing a lot of the masculine things. And what does that mean? A lot of the masculine things. Yes, going outside of the home and, climbing up the corporate ladder and getting this career that takes you away from family and things as far as that. Yeah, that actually is a masculine thing because men were created as providers. Like, men are the providers. They're the protectors. They're the providers. You go back into hunter-gathering and all types of other stuff. And yes, people will have an issue with going back there because they say, oh, we're just going back and we're demeaning women by putting them only in the home or putting them that their places in the home. But the home is where the heart is. The home is where the nurturing lies. The home is where the education grow and the learning and all of that other good stuff that women are so naturally inclined to be good at. And it's the strength and the lifeblood of the family dynamic. And whatever agenda that was pushed so many years ago, and I'm not going back there just to save on time. I'm not going to go into the history of the feminism and the war and bringing, taking women out of the house and putting them to work and putting the kids in daycare and all that other stuff for the sake of time in this video. I'm not going to go into all that. But it continued to push an agenda that broke up the family home and it broke up the family dynamic. So now you have women competing with men. We complement one another. We complete one another for the most part as a family unit. We don't compete against one another. When we do, it definitely takes away from that family dynamic. It takes away from the peace. It takes away from that stuff. So submission, being submissive. What does that entail? That entails being that support system, listening, not exuding your masculine energy and trying to pretty much square up with your husband. If you disagree with something, it's a proper way to disagree. It's a proper way to even right a wrong. There's proper ways to do it. Women that were feminine, that are considered feminine, they talk about prim and proper. Some people have an issue with that. I don't understand why, because it sounds very cultured and ladylike, and it's a beautiful thing. Women should be prim and proper. Women should women should hold themselves to a higher standard. Yes, we can go back into the day and look at how families were. They were nurtured. It was a lot of nurturing. The men did the men stuff. So you had the masculine energy, you had the feminine energy, you had what they say, the yin and the yang, and the poles, the two poles that attract one another. You had these things. Now we have women out there who are wondering why is it so hard for them to find a good man, is what they're calling it. Why is it so hard for me to find a man who compliments me? But see, when it comes down to it, we really have to ask ourselves, are we being attractive enough to attract the man that we want? And what man is that? Now, if we want a man that is a high value, that's what I've been hearing, the word that's been thrown around a lot, a high value man. Usually when people say that, they mean high income earners. But I would just say, for the sake of argument, let's say high value. And high value meaning a person who is looking to be a protector, a provider, a person who is into personal development, who is willing to do what he must as a man to take care of his family. That man is not looking for a masculine woman. That man is not looking for a woman who is going to question his every move, that is going to try to outdo him and outshine him in whatever the case may be, whatever he does. what he's known to do. This is not, a man is not looking for a woman. A man would not look for that type of woman that if he wants to, he's trying to open a door for her or make her life easier, that she's making it harder for him to make her life easier because she don't want to look like a damsel in distress. Being submissive does not make us damsels in distress. Being submissive do not make us low self-esteem, having pretty little slaves, because we want to nurture our family, because we want to nurture our relationships, because we want to grow and build and support, build our household and support our husbands. That is where the strength of the family lies. For a woman to not have to worry about dealing with a lot of the outside elements. Think about when they talk about when a man comes home, and we're just gonna, just for the sake of just argument's sake or sake of simplicity, talk about a man going out into the workplace. A man go out into the workplace or taking care of business and everything like that outside the home. When he comes home, what does he want? He wants peace. He wants to be able to enjoy his home. We've always been, I'm pretty sure I've heard it a lot. I'm pretty sure you have too, is that our home is our refuge. So his home should be his castle. His home should be his refuge. His home should be this quiet from the storm that's out there, that he's constantly fighting every day to make a living and make a lifestyle for his family. That's where the strength and the power of the submissive woman comes in. She's the support. Support beams are very strong. The nurturing is very strong. A man can feel soft and safe, not soft, he can feel safe in his home because he has this soft woman that's understanding what he's going through and that say, you know what, I have your back because I know you have mine. You're taking care of you're taking care of your end. I'm taking care of my end. We meet together. We're a team. That's teamwork. It doesn't make you less of a woman. But I know an agenda has been pushed, and I know that one of the agendas that has been pushed is that the women are not of value if they don't make money outside of the home, or if they don't have a career because they're only a housewife or they're only a mother or things as far as that. But see, when I've talked to a number of women, when they go, and there are women out there, and we have anomalies, and we have women out there that they are fine climbing the corporate ladder, they're fine doing these other things. There are women who are outside working these jobs and doing these things, and they're trying to balance a career and home life, and they're stressed out. They're wondering, how do I do this? And people are saying, oh, well, you can do this, you can balance. There's no balance. This is something has to sacrifice. I've heard that on so many occasions. Something has to give, something has to sacrifice. But why? Because a number of women who's out there sacrificing for the good of the career or whatever it is, because they want to feel like something other than, they're losing out on the thing that's most natural to them, and that's them being a nurturer. And they're wondering why they're torn. And they're torn because they allow society to create this narrative for them. Like I said, there are some women that like that, but there are some women that are very torn. And a lot of times those women who are torn, they say, oh, well, I want to have my own money. Or some women who are torn between it, they say, well, I want to have a social life other than kids. I want to have an adult conversation with people. So that's some of the reasons why they go to work. But they can have these same things and not sacrifice their family. And real quick, how can they do that? Well, a couple things. Find out what it is that you really love to do, that you're passionate about, and create a career out of it by creating your own business. When you have your own business, you can schedule your time around your family instead of, schedule that business around your family instead of scheduling your family around your job. And then you want your social life, schedule that as well. You can still talk to your friends. You can still have get-togethers and go out to eat and brunch and things like that. Have the adult conversation. And it doesn't sacrifice. You wouldn't be sacrificing anything. You wouldn't be sacrificing yourself. You wouldn't be sacrificing your self-care. You wouldn't be sacrificing your family. and you will be a much more happier person, because you're not dealing with the crazy elements of climbing the corporate ladder, co-workers that stress you out, traffic a lot of different things, a boss that's stressing you out. And I've learned that from dealing with a job that I had before, and I didn't realize how much it stressed me out and how much it was affecting my family until I was no longer working that job anymore. And I was so much at peace, because I already know when it comes to making money, I know how to do that around my family. When it comes to having a social life, I know how to do that around my family. And I do feel like I'm well-rounded, and I'm very happy, and I'm at peace. And if my husband happened to have a rough day or something's going on and he wants some peace, he can have some peace, because I don't have to deal with the elements out there and bring them in the house. And then we both have to find some way to unwind in order to enjoy each other. And I don't have to find some way to unwind in order to enjoy my family, because I'm dealing with this other stuff. So that's one of the reasons, or that's one of the ways you can do that. And another thing is, not really looking at the submissiveness as these of being a pretty little slave, or a person who's have low self-esteem, and just being someone that's controlled or anything like that. Being submissive does not make you a person of weak will, that is a person that is just going to be controlled. Being submissive is knowing how to listen, how to respond, how to handle situations in a graceful way, how to allow that feminine energy to exude. Because, as I stated before, that feminine energy attracts the masculine energy. Masculine energy repels masculine energy. So the more masculine you are as a woman, and that's that masculine energy that you give off, it's going to repel the alpha man, if that's what people call them, the protector, the provider, the person that is a true man. And I'm talking about true men of value, not just males, or adult males. So being submissive is nothing about being weak, low self-esteem, or anything like that. It's just the opposite. It's about being strong-willed, strong-minded, and being strong in your femininity, to know how to handle certain situations, to create that peace and tranquility and that nurturing aspect in your life, for your relationships, for your marriage, as well as for your total household. Teams play together, and we all have our parts. So this will be an ongoing subject, and an ongoing thing, because I've seen it so much now, where when it comes to feminine energy and masculine energy, the way things are going right now is causing a total divide amongst the sexes. And we want to make sure that we get back to the basics. And that is allowing men to be men and women to be women, and come together where we can attract one another in a proper fashion. Inshallah, God willing, you guys got some great information from this. 3 ways that outstanding personal relationships can help you. Number 1, subscribe to our social media channels. You can go to Outstanding Personal Relationships on YouTube and Facebook, and Outstanding Relationships on IG, because Outstanding Personal Relationships was just too long for our Instagram handle. And number 2, make sure you go to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com and subscribe to our email list. There you will get a number of updates and things on what we are doing, as well as an update on the release of our new book, Let's Talk Polygyny. And number 3, make sure, if you want to deep dive and really, really get into some heavy personal development and different ways and great training on how to improve your relationships, Relationship Mastery Inner Circle is for you. How you'll find out more information about that, go to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com/RM for relationship mastery. It is our monthly mastery program where we dig deep and train deep on different things as far as feelings, emotions, and different things that deal with your relationships and improving your relationships. For more information, go to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com/RM for relationship mastery. Until next time, make sure you are always practicing GOC, that you are growing intentionally, loving fearlessly, and connecting on a higher level every single day. Until next time, assalamu alaikum. Peace.